heading to Summerhill Pyramid Winery. We're going to catch up with the proprietor and manager Ezra Sipes and winemaker Aaron von Krozek. And we're going to learn a bit about biodynamic farming today and organic winemaking at one of the most spectacular sites in the northern part of the Okanagan Valley.
My name is Ezra Sipes, and I'm the CEO of Summerhill. I'm the scion. My parents founded it along with Eric in 1991.
So I'm Eric von Krozek, and I've been making wine for 30 years and growing grapes. And I started this winery with Stephen and Wendy Sipes back in 1991.
Consumers hear a lot about biodiversity today in vineyards. Can you explain a bit about how it interacts with wine?
Well, we're in one of the nature preserves at Summerhill right now. It's our wetland preserve. We also have a dry land preserve and a meadow nature habitat. So this is a cooperative with nature approach. It's bringing nature in, and it's trusting nature, and it's trusting that once you establish that biodiversity, you're going to establish an ecosystem that will take care of itself, and pests and disease will be naturally mitigated through biodiversity.
Ezra, a couple of decades ago, a lot of people had coffee table books of Napa, Sonoma with these beautiful black earth and green vines growing, and it looks sensational. Your vineyard looks nothing like that today. It's a totally different approach.
It is a different approach, and this is how we like it here. I mean, the biodiversity is not just on the ground cover. It's not just plants. It's also in the soil, and this is a really important thing with organic and biodynamic viticulture, is to really establish a living soil. Another difference in this vineyard from some of those glossy shots of vineyards, like look at the color, right? Like it's green, but it's
lighter green.
It's a lighter green, it's a yellowish green, and look at the growth. So what are we growing here? Do we want to grow wood or do we want to grow grapes, you know?
Right.
So for me, this is beautiful. And you can really see that each plant has its own relationship with the earth, and it has to get its own nutrients. We're not feeding it per se. We're creating an environment where it can take care of itself. And then the wine, you know, has that character, has that individual character, and is really grown in harmony with the environment. And then you get a really authentic, true wine that way.
Eric, do you get more complexity in the wine then? Is that part of it too?
There's an interaction, but what's happening is that soil is getting mineralized and it is being taken up through the roots. So instead of basically hydroponically feeding the plant is feeding on what's actually here. So we're actually getting a flavor and a taste and a sense of what's actually, where the plant actually lives. We try to use nature for nature, and but you have to leave something for them.
This is finished compost right here.
Yeah.
And then behind us you can see horse manure from our neighbor's farm.
Yeah.
And that black stuff, that is the leftovers from last year's harvest. That's the skins and the seeds. We also bring down all the yeast and the sediment from the winemaking, and we mix it all together.
Yep.
We add biodynamic preparations, which aid decomposition processes, and also their little microbial concoctions. So we inoculate the compost with that microbes, and then we spread it on our earth, and we make sure we're getting the good bugs into the soil, keeping them alive with lots of organic matter. So we bought this farm in 1986. And at that time there was not really, you know, that was before the modern wine industry had started. It was bulk wine, hybrid wine, table grapes growing here. And then after we got here, that was the beginning of the beginning. So my parents were there for all those conversations as growers, and they were inspired by the idea that quality wine could be produced here. There's one writer who as a friend of mine, I admire very much. He calls it ancestral farming. Like, this is our ancestral knowledge.
Yeah.
And you could argue that it's like, well, how long have humans not understood the ecosystem and their place in it? How long have we been disconnected? How far back in our ancestors do we have to go?
Yeah.
And I think the answer is different depending on where we come from in the world, is not looking at ourselves as human beings as being apart from nature, but being a part of nature.
Sure.
And then the winemaking is a natural expression of that, is this collaboration, right?
Yeah. Come and visit the wineries and stay for a couple of days, maybe even a week, and really experience all the Okanagan has to offer.